Hey guys, how's it going? Paul Harris here. It's Sunday again. That means another career-based video. Today, I'm going to break down how your finance and accounting degree will differ from your finance and accounting profession. Now, you may not actually do a finance and accounting degree, but this still might be useful for you to know what you're in for when you go and join a finance and accounting profession. So with that being said, let's jump right into it. So first off, it's worth saying that you don't need to do an accounting and finance degree in order to study to be an accountant. For instance, if you choose a professional firm like PwC, where you get your qualification to study the ACA, then you can do this with any degree. So if there is a topic or degree that you actually are considerably passionate about, then it may be worth studying that at university, since the option is always there for you to study accounting after university. Having said this, if a subject does not spring to mind, then I would say that an accounting and finance degree is a good choice. Now, there's many reasons for this. It gives you a broad understanding of financial side of business. It's a very practical degree insofar as it strictly relates to the information you need to know in order to do accounting and finance. The principles you learn will definitely apply when you're actually doing the job, which you may not necessarily get when you choose other degrees. They might not relate to the job you eventually do. It can also lead directly to a lot of professions, from accounting, corporate accounting, finance analyst, operational analyst, equity analyst, tax advisory, investment banking. You see, other degrees might not clearly link to a specific profession. And at the end of the day, if you're doing a degree, unless you're planning on staying on and doing a PhD and all that, then a degree is really the in-between bit between school and actually getting a job. And at the end of it, you want to get a job off the back of your degree, or at least that's how I see it. Now, if you're watching this and you're already studying accounting and finance at uni, then you already know what you're studying, of course. But the degree is usually split down into the following topics. The accounting side can be split into the following modules: corporate accounting, taxation, auditing, management accounting, whereas the finance side will be split into corporate finance, business management, macro finance factors like GDP, Forex, stuff like that, derivatives, and then financial analysis of businesses. You'll also study things like economics and statistical analysis. As I say, all this information is great at giving you a fantastic foundation for when you move into industry. I probably draw on most of these topics whilst I'm working. If anything, they would be even more relevant if I went back and studied them today, particularly things like business management, because without actually working in a business and seeing how management works, it's quite difficult to grasp the concepts, or at least that's what I found whilst I was at university studying accounting and finance. The reality is, though, when you start working in industry, you start to get a lot more specific on the information you are required to know to do your day-to-day job. Now, the exception to this is that to actually be a qualified accountant, then you will need to study something like the CIMA, ACA, and ACCA after leaving university. Now, these are classifications for the qualifications that you will need to get. They roughly take around 3 years. And what you will study in order to get this qualification will heavily link back to your accounting and finance degree. The added bonus here is that if you choose to do accounting and finance at a university that has links to, say, the ICAEW, which issues the ACA qualification, you will actually be able to avoid doing exams altogether. So when I did the ACA, there were about 15 exams that you needed to pass in order to get your qualification. I actually skipped 8 of these because I did an accounting and finance degree, and the modules I studied linked directly with the studies that you would need to do to pass that qualification. However, putting the qualification aside and looking specifically at a profession or accounting profession, if you were working as something like audit, for instance, you will mostly draw upon your experience of the modules in audit and corporate accounting with regards to learning things like bookkeeping, preparing a set of accounts, testing account positions. But you simply won't draw upon the financial aspects of your degree or things like the management accounting and tax very much. Now, I've been fortunate to have moved around different departments, different roles in my career relating to the finance profession. And by doing this, I've been able to draw upon different areas of my accounting and finance degree. However, the downside to moving around like this is I probably aren't a particular specialist in any one area, which in some ways is how you earn even greater amounts of money in this profession. You see, what you'll find in the corporate world is you don't generally get paid a lot for doing your passion, unless you're very fortunate. What you get paid for is persisting and continuing in one specific area for such a long time that you know more than everyone else. And then the result of this is people less capable than you pay you large sums of money for your knowledge and expertise. But that is another topic of discussion. To get back to how work changes from your degree. See, in a degree, no matter how much practical implications what you're studying has to work, you will still be learning it from a very theoretical point of view. When it comes to work, it seems less clear-cut what the best things to do are in given situations. There is no definite answer to certain scenarios, and in that case, the work becomes a lot more subjective than the work you do at universities where there's a clear answer. You also find that when you work, that there are different departments for each individual area of what you study. People in the company will work on tax, some will prepare accounts, some will post journals, some will record invoices, some will pay for invoices, and each department will have a team of people and different managers and so on. So the necessity to remember all the information that you learn at university is just not needed. In some ways, you actually need less information from a work standpoint to get the job done. However, the lack of information that you require to actually do your job is replaced by the stresses of day-to-day work life. So you have the people aspect of work in the office. Although there are different departments that specialize in different areas like tax, management, business, finance, you may find it hard to actually get information out of any of these departments because they don't work directly with you. You see, the challenge of managing people, even if you are not a manager, is something that you won't have a particular amount of experience with when you're at university. Now, the theory is also replaced by the process of actually collating the information required to complete a task. The answers obviously won't be right there presented to you in question format when you're doing your job. Therefore, you actually need to go out and ask people questions and know what questions to ask people to actually get to an answer. As I said before, the work is more subjective. This is probably due in part to a knowledge gap from yourself and also the lack of information actually being available. You see, at work, you have to make a lot more assumptions, and sometimes the information is just not available to get the exact answer, even if accounting and finance profession is about having an exact number. Now, you'll find there is also a lot of focus on systems. You have things like HFM, PBF, Oracle, Rapid, SAP, Sage, CPS, etc., etc., etc. With all these different systems, there's different reports that you need to download, most of which get downloaded to Excel, and you probably need to be able to manipulate the data in order to get the answer you need. Now, this is simply something that isn't provided at university, and it's a huge learning curve. And this is part of what actually increases your efficiency and proficiency when you're actually trying to complete tasks at work. See, as you work longer, you get more used to these systems, and you know how to access information that allows you to get jobs done more quickly. Also, the marks that you get at university that make you feel good that you've achieved something get replaced by very rare compliments you get for the work you do. Now, at university, you work really hard, you do an exam, and someone says to you, there you go, you got a first, and you walk around with your head held high going, gosh, aren't I clever? Whereas at work, when you do a good piece of work, that is just your job. You are just paid to do that job. So you don't get a massive amount of praise whilst you're doing your job, which is probably one reason why people get despondent doing the work they're doing, because sort of the daily grind and you don't often get a lot of compliments. However, if you do put a lot of effort into your work, turn up on time, do extra hours when it's needed to get the job done, and you do all of that with good humour, then people will be happy to work with you since they don't have to pick up the slack of the work you don't complete. Now, the praise you won't probably get all the time is instead replaced by people suggesting that for you to be able to move up the corporate ladder, you need to go above and beyond the work that is set for you. See, this is a concept that doesn't really crop up at university since the maximum amount of mark you can get is 100%. However, at work, you need to work 110% somehow. Now, this will probably take you about 7 years to work out what that actually means. I'm still working it out myself, since people quickly get used to the work you do and the level of efficiency you have. So to go above and beyond, you have to continually improve what you're doing to impress people continually. So at the end of the day, what is the difference between a degree and work when it comes to accounting and finance? Well, in theory terms, it's very much the same. Unfortunately, after university, you'll probably have a good 3 months of heavy drinking, traveling, and enjoying life to forget everything you've learned at university. So when you start your job, you'll probably feel like you have to learn it all again. But that's life, unfortunately. If you don't continually work at something, you will inevitably start to forget it. However, be assured that when you relearn it, you will be able to learn it just that little bit faster. And like that, we're at the end of another video. For more career-related videos, subscribe to my channel. Making career videos every Sunday. See you next time. Bye bye. 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 Bye.